Hey everyone, it's Chef from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. For this video, we're going to be using the June Hero Arts kit to create a card. I'm using the main die from the kit and some Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. I'm going to be showing you the inspiration card that comes in the kit, as well as the stamp set that comes in both the classic and the premium kit. So we're going to use that to create the background. I have some Hero Arts watercolor paper that's really thick. The larger die on the outside is also Hero Arts die that came from another kit. And then that interior one is from this month's kit. I ran it through my die cut machine twice for the interior piece because there are a lot of intricate pieces and I wanted to make sure all the fallout pieces came out really clean so that we would have a nice crisp image to work with. Once all the pieces are out, we're going to start watercoloring our frame. And the way that I do this is very similar to the way that I use my Inktense watercolor pencils because in a lot of ways these are very similar to each other. So I'm putting a little bit of water on my brush and then dipping it onto the tip of the pencil and putting the color down onto the paper. So while you're watching me do this, I thought that I would give you guys a little bit of an update because you've seen me watercolor before this is just a really basic concept. I'm just picking up the colors off of the pencil and putting it down onto the paper. I will do 2 shades for the palm trees, but everything else pretty much just has 1 shade on there. So while you're watching me watercolor, I thought I would give you a little bit of a life update. If you guys have been following my Crafty Instagram, you probably have seen that I have been fostering 3 kittens for a while now. I got them when they were 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks old. They did tell me that they were 4 weeks, but when I went back to do their first shot, she said that actually they were 3 weeks old the day that I got them, and then the next day they turned 4 weeks old. So very similar. So they were eating on their own for the most part when I got them, and now they are so big and they're getting ready to get neutered. They're 3 boys. Their names are Oreo, Brownie, and Snickers, and they're just absolutely adorable. Lucy is really getting used to them. It's been a big adjustment for her. She's been through so much this year with losing Fred, and then, obviously being lonely because in their 19 and a half years of life, they had only spent 1 day apart before he passed, the night that he stayed at the emergency vet. So she's been through a lot, and she has been such a trooper. She's been so good. If the boys get downstairs, if somehow they were sneaking out of the foster room, I would hear her hiss downstairs because she would let me know. Like if I was in my office, she would let me know that someone had escaped because I didn't realize it. So she just has been really, really great. She will be 20 next month. So August 5th, she will be 20. So it's crazy. So we're gonna have a little celebration for her. Not sure what I'm gonna do yet, but definitely do something special for her because 20 is a big number for a cat. So that's kind of what's been going on here, and it's why you won't see a lot of videos because I'm trying to spend time with her and then I'm trying to spend time with the boys. I've just kind of been integrating them a little bit just to see how she does. Today she was not having it with Snickers. She was hissing at him. I don't know what he did to aggravate her, but she really was hissing at him today. He was playing with her tail. I think that was part of it too. And sometimes he's a little bit more aggressive than the other 2 are. But they were all in my room for a little while. They do love to eat Lucy's food, which they're not really supposed to. So trying to figure out how to keep them apart. And they've been loving exploring the house. I've been letting them down onto the 2nd floor because they stay on the 3rd floor. In the foster room, which is really just an extra room that I have that I've set up for them where they can kind of play around, and they have so many toys from when Fred and Lucy were little, and I got them a window seat because they really loved looking out there, out the window, out into the parking lot and everything, so they are really enjoying that, and they're just so cute. So don't know what the future situation of that is. They will be neutered in about 2 weeks, so I will definitely have to do an update there. So there's some other things that are going on, but I'll talk about that in an upcoming video because I want to get to the stamping part. So This is a good reminder for everybody when you get new stamps that are mainly solid like this to condition your stamps. You see me running my hand over it, but it really doesn't work because the ink is really, really splotchy on this. What I should have done, and I don't know why I didn't do this, but was to put some embossing ink on top of it. By the time I get to like the third or fourth stamp, I realize that that's what I need to do. So I'm using my pressure tool to try to go ahead and get ink in those areas that just are not stamping very well. But I probably should have done some test stamping. Again, I got a little impatient and just wanted to go ahead and use the stamps. So now I'm putting the piece over top of it just to see how it's going to look. And you can definitely leave it like this with the first layer. I think it looks fantastic. There's also a second and a third layer that you can use. So I'm going to use all three of them in this. I actually changed my mind about the third layer, but you'll see that I left that in there. So this is the second layer. And again, this one's not as solid, so it's not as noticeable that I didn't condition the stamp really well. But you can see after I use that first stamp several times, it'll look much better and much more solid. So it's more of a user error than anything. When these clear photopolymer stamps are created, there's a film that's on them, and you just have to try to get rid of the film. It's a film from production. You just have to try to get rid of that so that you get some nice solid stamping on there, and I just did not do that. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and stamp that second layer down, check how it looks, and then go back and do the third layer. Now the third layer I did with, I think it's called Soft Sky, and these are all Hero Arts inks. And then the other ones, I think I did Tide Pool was one of them. I forgot to write the names down, so I apologize. I did show them to the camera, but I think I forgot to tell you guys what they were. So if I remember, I will leave it in the more information section underneath. But here's where I get a little bit smarter and I use my embossing ink. And this is a Hero Arts embossing cube on top of it, and just kind of condition that stamp. And then when I stamp the ink down, it stamps much more solid. I'm not really sure why the embossing ink does that. If anybody knows, please feel free to educate me and leave it in the comments. But it really is, it makes things so much easier. Sometimes you can just kind of wipe it off. Other time I've seen people use erasers, I've seen people use their hands, I've seen people use the embossing ink, and I think the embossing ink is my favorite way to do it. Now we're gonna go in and do the sun. I'm gonna do the same thing, ink it up with the embossing ink and stamp it down. I'm going to be using Distress ink on the sun. So we're going to be using some Kitsch Flamingo, and then I'm going to be coming in with Squeezed Lemonade. And here's where I'm like, oh man, I put the reflection in the water. That was the last one that we did with that Soft Sky, the same color that I did the clouds, but I didn't really want it I wanted that reflection to be a little bit more of that pink and yellowy orange that the sun was, to make it look like it was actually the sun that was reflecting on the water, not that blue there. So I'm going to go back in and use that same exact stamp twice. I'm going to go back in with Kitsch Flamingo, and I'm also going to go back in with the Squeezed Lemonade and go ahead and stamp that out. So there's the Kitsch Flamingo, and then I go back in with the Squeezed Lemonade and add it to there. So some of it does turn a little bit green because I didn't line it up exactly perfectly, but it looks fine. So I'm just trying to figure out what to do with it, how it looks. And then I realized the top is all white and I don't want that to be white. So what am I going to do? So after I clean everything up, I take what's left on my blending brushes. And these are two ones. The one pink one is Kitsch Flamingo, and then the bottom one, I probably should have just used like a Squeezed Lemonade, but I didn't. I used an orange color, and I don't even remember what color orange it was. So I'm just going to go back in until I'm happy with the way that the two colors blend. I did a little bit too much underneath the sun. I would have gone a little bit less heavy-handed underneath there, but it is what it is, and I wasn't going to start all over again because of that. I'm using my Honey Bee Creative glue to go ahead and glue around the edges. I did cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4 inches because I wanted to have a black card base showing around the edge. I probably only should have cut it down about an 1/8 of an inch, not a 1/4 of an inch, but it's fine. This is the first time that I've done it. I just kind of wanted to get something, just play around with the stamps, because I haven't really been creating other than I just kind of have been sitting upstairs and crafting with Lucy, just spending some time with her, and then sometimes the kittens will be down here with me. So I'm taking those same brushes and I'm going to go ahead and brush color onto the front, onto the frame of the card, because I thought it looked really, really plain without it. So I'm making sure to take off a little bit of the ink before I go right into the background. The pink did not have a lot of ink on it, but the orange had a lot on there. So I really only needed a little bit on both of the sides. So I'm just gonna go ahead and blend those two together. And then I was trying to find a blue that matched one of the colors of the ocean at the bottom, so that I could I could add a little bit of color to the bottom, kind of trying to make the scene look like it's going to continue outside, so it kind of continues onto the frame. I'm just going in with a little bit of whatever is left on this brush. This one might be Prized Ribbon. I'm not exactly sure. It's Prized Ribbon, or it's not Uncharted Mariner. I think it might be Prized Ribbon. I'm just going around the edges just to add a little bit of color, and that is the front of the card. Now I'm going to go ahead and use that same Honeybee Stamps Be Creative glue to glue onto the back of the card and put it onto, or the card front, and put it onto the card base. And that is the card for today. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I will leave a link to both of my Instagrams below if you want to check out the stuff that I have for the cats. If you have any questions about the fosters or being a foster parent, let me know. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and I will see you guys again real soon for another video. Bye!